under the thick, frigid night sky over deep Russian territory, where northerly winds howled across frozen grasslands hardened for weeks. A strategic military airfield lay silent amid vast open spaces, more than 1,120 miles northeast of the front lines. Temperatures had dropped below 3 degrees Fahrenheit, turning every exhaled breath into thick white clouds instantly. Faint headlights along the runway illuminated scattered rows of aircraft. Multi-role Su-30SM fighters in mottled gray tactical camouflage streaked with oil and dust. MiG-31BM interceptors armed with hypersonic R-37M missiles slung under wings. Distinctive-nosed Su-24M bombers. Numerous Mi-28NM attack helicopters. Medium-lift Mi-8AM TSH-VN helicopters, heavy-lift Mi-26T2V helicopters, and one AN-26 military transport aircraft being loaded near the technical apron. Some aircraft were draped in thermal camouflage netting, while others sat exposed beside thick, reinforced concrete-hardened shelters, with dim, flashing marker lights cutting through the darkness. Before proceeding to the main content, comment number 2 if you support Ukraine, number 3 if you support Russia, and number 4 if you love peace. 3 overlapping air defense rings formed a dense kill web around the airfield. Closest in were short and medium-range Pantsir S-1 systems, with target tracking radars effective out to 22 miles and reaction times of just 4-5 seconds from detection to launch of 57 E-6 missiles. Farther out sat Tor M2 batteries, optimized for low-altitude, high-speed threats, capable of engaging 4 targets simultaneously within a 10-mile radius. Next came Buk M3 units with ranges up to 43 miles and engagement altitudes to 22 miles. On the outermost ring, long-range S-300 PM2 and S-400 Triumph systems stood guard, their 92 N6E radars detecting small targets at 250 to 370 miles, guiding 48 N6DM or 40 N6 missiles at speeds up to Mach 14. The Integrated Air Defense Command Network shared real-time data across units, creating an almost seamless wall of fire. Thousands of miles to the southwest, in a covert base hidden deep inside Ukrainian territory and disguised as an abandoned farmstead, a special operations group from the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, entered the final phase of Operation Long Network, one of the boldest and most complex long-range strike campaigns since the conflict began.
Preparation stretched nearly 6 months. Since spring, electronic engineers, flight control programmers, composite material specialists, and precision machinists from SBU Unit 2245 worked relentlessly in dispersed underground workshops across western Ukraine. They built series of drones with internal code names Lyuty for precision mid-range attack variants and Palyanitsa for longer-range versions with enhanced jam resistance. These were far from simple modified commercial drones. Fuselages used reinforced carbon fiber blended with specialized epoxy and multi-frequency radar absorbent composites, with surfaces coated in electromagnetic absorbent paint effective across X-band, Q-band, and portions of K-band. Small turbine engines, upgraded from civilian models, featured increased combustion chamber pressure and custom cooling to sustain stable thrust at altitudes of 13,100 to 25,600 feet and endurance of 9 to 11 hours, depending on payload.
Takeoff weights ranged from 40 pounds, light variant, warhead 7 to 10 pounds, to 84 pounds, heavy variant, warhead 15.7 to 17.2 pounds. Warheads were custom designed, tandem-shaped charge types capable of penetrating fighter engine casings and detonating internal fuel. Heavy fragmentation types packed with thousands of compressed tungsten and steel fragments for wide area damage against vulnerable surfaces like wings, nose radars, and helicopter turrets. Each UAV carried high-density lithium-ion batteries sufficient to power avionics, cameras, and data links throughout the mission.
A guidance system represented the most sophisticated element employing 3 independent layers for accuracy, even under heavy jamming. Inertial navigation relied on high-grade military laser gyro units, accumulating errors of only 0.5 to 0.7 miles after continuous flights of 750 to 870 miles. Military satellite navigation used L1, L2 signals with SASM anti-spoofing codes, paired with adaptive anti-jamming algorithms to maintain lock despite Krasuka 4 or Pol 21 jammers. Terminal electro-optical guidance featured 4K high-resolution cameras combined with visual inertial odometry algorithms, real-time image matching against digital terrain maps at 1.1 to 1.6 feet per pixel resolution, continuously updated from commercial satellite data, Planet, Maxar, ICEY, and reconnaissance imagery collected by other UAVs over preceding months.
Each UAV followed a unique route programmed on the COBRA principle, an internal term for continuously varying flight paths, altitudes fluctuating from 165 feet to 25,600 feet, headings shifting randomly by 15 to 45 degrees every 3 to 8 minutes, speeds surging to 130 miles per hour, then dropping to 68 miles per hour for glide segments, producing trajectories nearly impossible to predict, and overwhelming integrated air defense analysis and target classification capabilities.
The operation unfolded in 4 successive strike waves, timed to exploit air defense fatigue, shift change gaps, and psychological impact from multiple explosions in a single night. The first wave launched late afternoon, while residual sunlight disrupted ground optical and infrared sensors. At precisely 2:37 p.m. local time, 7 mid-range Liuti drones departed from concealed launch sites, converted from an abandoned field near the border. They took off in widely dispersed formation, spaced 5 to 11 miles apart, heading directly toward the southeastern parking area, the main dispersal zone for the Su-30SM squadron. Each carried tandem-shaped charge warheads of 9.7 to 10.4 pounds, optimized to penetrate AL-31FP engine casings and ignite residual fuel compartments. The first 260 miles they flew extremely low, 200–500 feet above ground, exploiting low hills, sparse pine forests, small valleys, and frozen rivers to mask against long-range early warning radars. 50–60 minutes before main launch, a group of ultra-small reconnaissance UAVs, weighing just 5.3 pounds, went ahead, releasing dozens of decoy balloons equipped with radar transponders, mimicking mid-size fighter RCS, 16 to 27 square feet. These decoys flew at 2,600 to 4,900 feet, emitting periodic radar signals, prompting several Panzer S-1 and Tor M2 batteries in the inner ring to fire mistakenly, expending 5 to 8 57E6 or 9338 missiles per site, and significantly depleting ready ammunition.
At 118 to 130 miles from target, the main UAVs climbed to 18,700 to 20,300 feet. There, they executed a signature maneuver, engine shutdown for 80 to 110 seconds to glide silently, cooling airframe surfaces below detection thresholds of advanced infrared sensors. Engines then restarted, accelerating gradually to 109 to 123 miles per hour. The lead UAV approached from the southwest at a 31 to 34 degree glide angle. At exactly 1.5 miles from the airfield, it switched to final autonomous mode. Geometric recognition algorithms locked on to the red-numbered Su-30SM via real-time image correlation with satellite imagery taken 42 hours earlier.
At 5:08 p.m., the first explosion shattered the late-afternoon calm. The tandem-shaped charge detonated directly over the left engine of the lead Su-30SM. Molten metal at over 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit punched through the AL-31FP casing, igniting residual JP-8 fuel and producing a fireball rising more than 92 feet with billowing black smoke. The multi-role fighter, valued at roughly $48 to $52 million, burned fiercely within 100 seconds, its airframe severely warped by extreme heat. Two follow-on UAVs struck the same area 45 seconds apart. One hit the right wing of the second Su-30SM, obliterating weapon pylons, detonating auxiliary fuel tanks, and snapping main spars. The other slammed into the mid-fuselage of the third, detonating avionics base, destroying flight controls, and spreading fire to the right engine.
Within the next 11 minutes, 4 Su-30SM aircraft were totally destroyed, with another heavily damaged in tail, propulsion, and turret sections, beyond on-site repair with available resources. Black smoke plumes rose hundreds of feet, visible from over 9 miles away. Air defenses reacted belatedly. Some Pantsir S-1 units fired, but only struck one UAV already completing its mission and diving per self-destruct programming.
As full darkness fell, the second wave launched around 9:40 p.m. 9 Polyanitsa drones took off from a second launch site 78 miles south of the first. They carried heavy fragmentation warheads of 15.7 to 16.3 pounds, specially designed against vulnerable components of MiG-31BM strategic interceptors, aircraft valued at $58 to $65 million each, renowned for Mach 2.8 plus speeds, and R-37M missiles with ranges exceeding 186 miles.
This wave flew higher, 20,700 to 22,600 feet, using thick, low clouds to obscure paths from ground surveillance radars. At 162 to 174 miles out, they released 18 to 22 automated thermal decoy flares on 15 to 28 second cycles, creating multiple false heat sources that severely jammed infrared sensors on Tor M2, Panzer S-1, and even S-400 laser warning systems.
At 10:19 p.m., the main assault commenced. The lead UAV dove from the northeast at final speeds of 125 to 129 miles per hour and 38 to 41 degree angles. Its warhead struck the root of the left wing on a white-numbered MiG-31BM, severing main spars and tearing the wing free in a screech of metal. The second targeted the nose Zaslon AM radar, penetrating protective composites and destroying the electronic suite valued at over $13 to $15 million. 3 more hit mid-fuselage and D-30F6 engines, setting 3 additional MiG-31 ablaze almost simultaneously. One MiG-31 attempted emergency takeoff under base commander orders, but as its landing gear still rolled on the runway, the 7th UAV struck at high speed, hitting the nose gear precisely, flipping the aircraft, sending it skidding hundreds of feet before erupting in flames.
Over the following 14 minutes, 5 MiG-31 were totally destroyed. 2 others damaged so severely they required disassembly and transport to the Nizhny Novgorod factory for repair, a process potentially lasting 18 to 30 months. Smoke from the fires formed a thick black haze over the eastern airfield area, reducing visibility for remaining air defense assets.
From 11:10 p.m. until after 1:40 a.m., the third wave deployed the largest number of UAVs, approaching dispersed from 3 directions to maximize dilution of surviving defenses. Targets included Su-27 SM-3, Su-24M, and static helicopters on hard stands. 2 Su-27 were totally destroyed in the western parking area. One penetrated by shaped charge into engine bays, the other shredded in wings and avionics. Another Su-27 suffered right engine fire and total loss of flight controls. Su-24M tactical bombers, valued at roughly $30 to $36 million each, took the heaviest hits. 3 totally destroyed in sequential fuel and weapons bay explosions. 1 torn open at the nose and cockpit, with debris scattered hundreds of feet.
The helicopters proved easiest targets, lacking active self-defense. 2 Mi-28NM took direct hits to engine bays and turrets, burning fiercely with black smoke plumes hundreds of feet high and secondary detonations from 30mm cannon ammunition ringing out. 3 Mi-8 AMTSH-VN fell in quick succession over 17 minutes. Shaped charges pierced large fuel tanks, triggering rapid flash fires from massive diesel loads. 1 heavy Mi-26T2V, Russia's largest transport helicopter, suffered dual engine bay strikes, with fire spreading to the main fuselage and snapping the tail boom entirely, causing the aircraft to list heavily to one side.
The final wave struck around 2:20 a.m. 1 heavy variant UAV with a 17.2-pound fragmentation warhead slammed into the mid-fuselage of the An-26 military transport being loaded near the technical terminal. The explosion snapped the aircraft in two instantly, with fire engulfing the cargo hold, consuming tons of supplies, ammunition, and reserve fuel, before spreading to adjacent logistics areas and triggering secondary blasts lasting over 20 minutes.
As first dawn light pierced thick clouds, black smoke still rose thickly from more than a dozen scrap heaps across the airfield. In total, 15 aircraft and helicopters sustained serious damage: 4 Su-30SM, 5-6 MiG-31BM, 3 Su-27, 3 Su-24M, 2 Mi-28NM, 3 Mi-8 AMTSH-VN, 1 6T2V, and 1 An-26. At least 11 were totally destroyed or suffered Category 4-5 damage, uneconomical to repair with reasonable costs.
The Security Service of Ukraine later estimated material losses at approximately $1 billion. This figure encompassed full aircraft values, jet engines, radars, avionics suites, suspended munitions, ground equipment destroyed, airfield restoration costs, and months-long loss of combat capability for the entire wing.
On the Ukrainian side, the entire operation cost roughly $3.4 to $4.8 million, covering production, assembly, programming, launch, pre-strike reconnaissance, and logistics transport. Per UAV costs ranged from $195,000 to $310,000 depending on variant. Economic efficiency ratios reached 1 to 210 to 1 to 290, among the most successful cost-to-effect asymmetric operations in modern warfare history.
The Operation Long Network inflicted not only massive material damage, but also profound strategic effects, severely degrading Russian long-range strike and interception capabilities in the western sector, compelling Moscow to reallocate air defenses, pull systems from other fronts to safeguard rear areas, and impose significant psychological pressure on Russian pilots and ground crews, who now realized even deep homeland bases are vulnerable to sudden, long-range Ukrainian strikes. Comment number 2 if you support Ukraine, number 3 if you support Russia, and number 4 if you love peace.